Are we ready? I guess not.
Welcome back to whatever the fuck this show's called. I haven't done it by myself in a while. Gonna be a quick one this week because I don't got a lot of time. Busy with some family shit. Sister's wedding is this weekend, so don't have time to do it live tonight. We should get back to regular schedules next week. Let me turn this music down a touch. But we'll get right into it with the pickup of the week.
I like that. And I really like that. So if this is truly a conversation, then I say let the conversation begin.
So with the offers that just went out yesterday, I guess, a lot of talk about maybe Dylan overpaying for Garrett Wilson. I don't think so. Looks like he might be their number one receiver. And only us having to really bid one day a week. I don't think spending $130 on a player is really quite as big of a deal as it maybe used to be in the past. See how Tua goes. This could be pickup of the week for me if I can get some consistent quarterback play. I don't think I'm going to play him this week because they're playing the Bills, but likely going to be starting many games for me going forward since the Bengals suck a deek.
Saboteur! I'm gonna kill you for real.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
This game is over. I'm really going to shoot you.
Kind of forgot about this award, to be honest. Didn't do a ton of prep for this week. I don't know if anybody made any outrageously bad decisions. I guess we'll take a look at that as we go through the recap, but we'll skip ahead to the next one. Fewest points in a win, you snagged a victory. That is more of what I was expecting. So the person that snagged a victory this week was Miller because he had the great fortune of playing my terrible ass team. So lowest scoring winner this week was Miller, just 102 points. Would have outscored Dustin and Dylan, but would have lost to everybody else. Most points in a loss? You've got Hastert luck. Suck on that L, bitch. Few of us lost in the 90s. That's going to happen most of the time, but the Hastert luck goes to A-Ray, losing to his subordinate. Eric might get fired after this beatdown. 183 points to 126. A-Ray would have beaten 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 other people had the matchups been different, but had that unfortunate luck of going against, I think I don't have time to look this up, but it might have been the highest scoring regular season week in Gentlemen's Club history. I think 176 was my old scoring record. I think I did that in the regular season. Then Dylan and I both broke that record in the playoffs. So I'm almost positive that is the highest points we've ever had in a regular season week. So congratulations to Eric on that. All right, so let's get into the week 2 recap. I'm not going to jump into each of these. We'll just do a real quick recap since I'm sure most of us know what happened. My team sucks. Joe Burrow, the Bengals offensive line is fucking awful. 17 points just isn't good enough out of your quarterback to win. I didn't really think I had a chance going into Monday night. Honestly, it was 1 versus 3, but going into like the last 2 minutes, I was still winning, but just knew how that one was going to end. Miles Sanders didn't do shit. The first 3 quarters just randomly gets 40, 50 yards there at the end, and I lost. And I think I might. No, it was I'm thinking of something else. But good win to Miller, dropping me to 0-2. Tough to come back from 0-2, although it does seem like I start about every season 1-2. So if I get a win this week, I might feel okay about the rest of the season. We talked a little bit about this one already. The other Hastert that scores a fuck ton of points. This is Brian. Almost into Club 160. Beat Dustin by about 60 points. So pretty big beat down there. Two things that really jump out to you here is when Patrick Mahomes is your third highest scorer and you're playing someone whose defense was their highest score, you're probably going to win that 100% of the time. So big win from Brian, second place behind Eric. Both of them, the only 2-0 on the season. So the Haster luck has completely flipped since Eric won his championship. It might have been passed on to me. Hopefully that will turn around. Brady and Dylan. Brady with a close win. Decent week out of Wentz. And for Dylan, Kyler Murray got punched in the face, but still was your highest score. Great week out of Andrews as well. Going on to Eric, this is the one that we already talked about. Huge week. 40 from Diggs, 40 more from Hurts, 30 from Jones. I'm sure there was another couple 30s in there as well. But A-Ray just didn't have enough firepower to keep up with that, and really no one would with that historic score there. A great week out of Jackson, kind of wasted 45. Great week out of Chubb with 30. 126 would get you a lot of wins. Like I said, I think he would have beat 7 other teams at the matchups. Been a little different, but the Hasterts are rolling through 2 weeks. Hopefully that can turn around. And finally, we had Caleb and Mitch. Mitch getting the win, moving them both to 1-1. I think 3/4 of the league is 1-1. Basically, everybody's 1-1. The Hasterts are 2-0, and then the 2 multi-time champs are 0-2. So again, Hastert luck has completely flipped itself on its head this season. Decent week out of Allen, 15 out of Swift. Can't be mad about that. Not quite as good as he was in week 1. Allen Robinson got 13 points, even though I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that Matt Stafford's racist because he only throws to wide receivers. But apparently Robinson did well enough to get third on Caleb's team. Good to see Clyde coming back a little bit. Wouldn't have hated if he would have scored a touchdown in that Thursday game. I think I had a single game parlay with that in it, if I remember right. And that might have been the only piece of it that didn't happen. But let's take a peek over at those standings. We talked about how the Hasterts are 2-0, Dylan and I 0-2, everybody else 1-1. But if we look at the points scored, it's slightly different. Maybe Dylan and I won't end up as the bottom 2 teams. By the end of the year, we're kind of towards the middle of the scoring. We got Miller, Brady, and Mitch, although he's just a half a point behind me down there in the bottom 4 of points scored. All right, let's do a week 3 preview. We're just zooming through this shit because I want you to see this gambling intro that I made. It's honestly, I think it's the greatest thing I've ever done. But let's get through week 3 since this is a fantasy football show, and then we'll take a look at some gambling. And actually, while I say that, I'm gonna get that going. Love how shitty my computer is when I'm streaming. But in week 3, our first matchup will be a pretty big one for me anyways. 0-2 versus Dustin at 1-1. Alex Jones' legal team. ESPN's given me the edge at everything except for RB2, which I haven't really had an RB2 this year, so that's a guaranteed win there. We'll see if Dobbins can actually play. I did not know that Christian McCaffrey's questionable. He probably just didn't practice. I think that happened last week too. Just giving him some rest, which is a good idea. I desperately need Kyle Pitts to do something. Fucking embarrassing how bad he's been at tight end. I feel like every time I start bad, it's because my tight end does nothing. So repeating the cycle with that, which is fun. I get the edge at every position, but the line's less than 5. So I think this will be a close, low-scoring matchup, as every matchup has been that way for me this year. But just for my own mental health, I'm going to go ahead and pick myself in that one. Next up, we got the other 0-2 team, Dylan against Mitch. Dylan is getting a hefty lean from ESPN, like myself. 17 points is the spread on this one. Kyler Murray against the Rams. Jamar against the Jets. God, I hope he catches like 40 touchdowns from Burrow. Nothing too crazy on Dylan's side that couldn't be overcome. I don't hate Herbert against Jacksonville if he plays with his sore ribs that he got in the football game. Josh Jacobs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Ooh, Helaire is top 5 running back. I do like that. Against Indy, I think he will have a monster game. The Chiefs will have a monster game. The downside with this might be they might be up so much by halftime, Clyde might not get much run in the second half. Lamb against the Giants, I don't hate too much if Cooper Rush plays well again. Kelsey against Indy is nice as well. So even though the projections are heavy against Dylan, I'm going to take Dylan. But because I really, really like those Indy matchups for the Chiefs, I think Mitch will give him a run for his money. But I still will pick Dylan to slightly win a very close matchup there. Next, we've got A-Ray and Miller, both 1-1. A-Ray scored a few more points this year, so he's in 4th place, and Miller in 8th. A lot of the projections going towards Miller, but again, a very close overall projection of less than 5 points. We've got Lamar against the Pats. Again, I hope T. Higgins does well against the Jets for my own sake. Cowboys and Giants, maybe there's some turnovers there. Could be low scoring, I guess, for the Giants, although I feel like they've been a little bit better this year. I think they're 2-0 to start the season, but had a pretty easy schedule. Eckler against Jacksonville. Waller against Tennessee might not be too bad. Tennessee's looked pretty bad so far this season. It's leaning a little bit towards A-Ray, and it's probably because of Lamar Jackson. He is pretty damn good. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Miller just beat me. I think Miller's team will have another decent week and get a sneaky win over A-Ray. Next up, we got Brady and Brian. The Big Head Bowl once again. Brian having a great start to the year. Projections are actually pretty even on this one, position-wise, but a fairly decent split with 12 points there. Good to see Saquon doing better. He single-handedly won me my 3rd championship, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right. So I'll always root for him. Justin Jefferson having a great year. Detroit might be a decent matchup for that. Chiefs against Indy isn't a bad play. I think you recently picked them up, although I think you drafted them as well. So snapping on the Chiefs D, but a great matchup nonetheless. But on the flip side of that, you got to go against Pat Mahomes against Indy. Again, could come down to them just blowing them out and Pat only getting 25 fantasy points because he throws 4 touchdowns in the first half and they're up 28-0. That would not shock me. But you also have Tyreek Hill against Buffalo. They might be able to slow that offense down a little bit. St. Brown against Minnesota. Minnesota's defense seems like it's okay. I've had some low-scoring games, it feels like. Chargers and Jacksonville. So again, I'm going to go against the ESPN projections. Even though he's got Mahomes, I think the Chiefs D could potentially put up Mahomes level points this week. That with Barkley and Jefferson with some decently favorable matchups, I think Brady will sneak out an upset over Brian this week. And finally here, we've got, if I can get to the right page, our showdown of the week. Showdown of the week is going to be Caleb and Eric. Eric having a great season, but Caleb not doing too bad himself in third place. I'm assuming the top scoring 1-1 team, since both of the Hasterts are 1-2. So a good matchup here against a couple teams that have had a pretty decent start to the season. Pretty split on the leanings on the position matchups. Fairly close line with 7 points. Leaning towards Eric. He's got Jalen Hurts against Washington. I do like that. Jones against Tampa. Might not be too terrible. Montgomery, I'm not a huge fan of, but against Houston, he might do okay. Diggs and the Dolphins. Kupp and the Cardinals should have a big week. Hawkinson, Bateman against the Pats could be pretty good. I don't hate the Bills D against Miami. On the flip side, Caleb's team, Josh Allen, number 1 quarterback. And I believe we do have those Jalen Hurts bets. He's sitting at 3 still. Derrick Henry against the Raiders. Swift, Samuel, Allen. Schultz, I thought he was out. I guess he's questionable. I know he got hurt at the end of the last game. Gabe Davis didn't play last week as well. So quite a few Qs over here on Caleb's team. Let's look at his bench. He's got Robinson. London's been having he had a great week last week. I know he's taken all of Pitts' targets, so wouldn't be terrible if he had to substitute the rookie Drake London in there. If one of those questionable receivers can't go this week. As much as I would want Eric to lose, I'm sorry, I think Eric is probably going to win. Got a pretty damn good team. The rest of us got to step our game up if we don't want Eric to go back to back. Okay. I'm shutting this music off because I don't want anything to interrupt this, and I might even play this twice because it's so good. Without further ado, let's do some gambling talk. Previously on Serial Gamblers.
This guy wins 23 bets in a week and is only up $400. How many bets is this dude losing?
Player props are the devil. Lucifer, bro.
How can you successfully gamble in a world where Kansas football is undefeated?
This is a Global Telink prepaid call from Sleep Shloop, a patient at Gamblers Anonymous.
From my office in Wichita, Kansas, this is Serial Gamblers, a weekly segment on the continued gambling addiction found in the Gentlemen's Club. I'm Andrew Simon. Woo! Welcome to Serial Gamblers, our weekly gambling segment on the Gentlemen's Club. Perfect timing for my slow-loading internet, even though I got fiber optic internet, so it must be StreamYard slowing us down. Tonight, we've got the Browns and the Steelers. I know there's already been some talk about that one. And so, since Brian and Eric are new to gambling, didn't even know what a spread was last week, hasn't stopped them from making dozens upon dozens of bets each week, and yet still not winning as much money as the rest of us have. But this is called the Vegas zone. So anything from like 3.5 to 5.5, I believe, is considered the Vegas zone. They're trying to tempt you into taking one of those teams, which I guess is what they're always trying to do. But that you want to stay away from spreads in that range. It's hard to predict things like that. And typically, the home team is getting 3 points from Vegas. So if you're really looking at this, taking away the home field advantage, Vegas only thinks that the Browns are 1 point better than the Steelers. So if that helps you make your decision, you can. Brian's probably on the right track with the under, but 38 is low. I don't remember seeing many unders under 40 in the NFL very often. So you could consider that if you want to do some sort of alternate line where you could get a higher number, maybe mixed with the Browns money line or something like that. That might not be terrible. I know there's a first touchdown prop bet, like risk-free with MGM. So you get your money back up to $25, I think, on the first touchdown scored in that game. So that's a nice little freebie from MGM. This one, Chiefs Colts in the Vegas zone, I would have expected this to have been a bit higher. It is on the road. So really, I guess they're saying the Chiefs are over a touchdown better, which I would have thought this would have been closer to 10. I don't know. I think the Colts suck. Pretty sure they did pretty bad last week, and Matt Ryan is still Matthew Ryan, but we'll see. I'm probably going to lay a fair bit of money on the Chiefs. I'll probably just take the spread. I normally hate taking spreads, especially I just talked about how stupid it is to take a spread in the Vegas zone, but here I am probably going to do it. I just think the Chiefs are going to roll against the Colts. Bills Dolphins getting the same spread as Chiefs Colts the Bills are very good, but the Dolphins are pretty damn good too. This one makes more sense than Chiefs Colts. I'm staying the fuck away from this one. So who knows how good the Dolphins really are yet. Maybe the Bills money line. I do think the Bills will win, but I'm not touching the spread on that one. Let's look at some of these other games. Eagles, Washington. I don't hate the Eagles to win, but again, I don't know if I want to trust the Eagles with 6.5 points. Not touching Lions, Vikings, although I don't know why the Vikings are getting 6 points. I don't hate the Lions +6 on that one. Ravens, Patriots. I probably like the Ravens in that one, maybe the money line. Bengals, Jets. Don't trust the Bengals. Don't trust the Jets. Don't trust the Raiders. Don't trust the Titans. Don't trust Jameis. And I don't trust Baker. I don't trust whoever the fuck is Houston's quarterback or the Bears. So a lot of shitty teams playing each other there. I don't like gambling on a shitty team, even if they are playing another shitty team. I just don't trust shitty football teams. Chargers, Jaguars, that is going to be, I'm honestly surprised that you can even bet on that. Unless there's been some news that Herbert is for sure playing. Packers, Bucks, that should be a pretty good game. Which is probably why it's 1 point. Rams, Cardinals. Don't really like that game either. Falcons, Seahawks, both of those teams suck. Sunday night game is the Broncos and the Niners. Broncos at home. Terrible coach. At least terrible coaching decisions by their new coach. Probably going to stay away from that one as well. And then the Monday nighter, Cowboys, Giants. Should be an interesting game. Staying away from that one. Don't trust backup quarterbacks. Don't ever trust Daniel Dimes if you know what's good for you. So a lot like last week where I didn't like a ton of the games. I don't think anybody really did great betting on the NFL last week. But that is a little bit of gambling talk for you. I like this show a little better when we have a couple hosts on here, so I'll try not to do it by myself anymore. But did what we had to do this week. I'll play the serial gambling intro one more time on our way out, but worst of luck to you all. And I'll see you with a couple hosts next week.
Previously on Serial Gamblers. This guy wins 23 bets in a week and is only up $400. How many bets is this dude losing? Player props are the devil. Lucifer, bro. How can you successfully gamble in a world where Kansas football is undefeated?
This is a Global Telling prepaid call from Sleep Sloop, a patient at Gamblers Anonymous.
From my office in Wichita, Kansas, this is Serial Gamblers, a weekly segment on the continued gambling addiction found in the Gentlemen's Club. I'm Andrew Simon.